episode number 14 of the After Hours podcast. Today, I have with me the co-owner of Team Villainous, who is also a client / partner of Sector 6 Apparel. Pretty excited for this one. I have Jake, Tiggie, Kramer on with me today. How's it going, Jake?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. I'm glad we were able to kind of get this sorted on short notice. I've been very, very bad the past couple weeks with scheduling my podcasts, just because it's I don't know. I'm doing bad with it. I've been good in the beginning, but I'm glad you were able to help me out short notice and we could get a good episode in. I'm excited for this.
Absolutely, yeah. I went from a message in your Twitch chat to 2 days later and we're on the podcast. So.
Pretty much, yeah. So cool. So Team Villainous. Is that your... Oh, no, back up. I always forget that this is my first question that I always like to ask. So what was your first encounter with esports as a whole? Not necessarily like job or like role, but what was your first thing that shed the light of esports onto you and you found out about it?
So it was actually in a very odd fashion, I would say. I entered into the world of esports. So obviously I played, first-person shooters all my life growing up and never really knew that esports was a thing besides I watched like Nate Shots videos from Optic when I was a kid growing up. So I always knew that it was there. I just never really dove into it. Mm-hmm. Come the drop of Fortnite is when I kind of got the feel that these players are getting big, and I had a personal Twitter that I was using nothing gaming-wise on, and I was, looking these people up, seeing how good they were doing, stuff like that. So that's where I got initially introduced, I would say, to the world of esports. I kind of made just a gaming Twitter for streaming. I wasn't, on a team or anything like that. I was streaming for probably, I would say 6 months. My numbers were steadily growing. I was getting a little bit better at it. And then I actually got recruited by a team called Exposed Esports. That's a whole nother story on its own. We can dive into that if you want to.
Yeah.
But it was a total joke of a team, really, and it was really disappointing for me. And by that time I was talking to people on other teams, and I knew of how things were ran and what was smooth and what wasn't, and I know we weren't doing the right moves or making the right plays. So that's kind of where I knew of Shui Dubs, because he was, he had a gaming Twitter. He was really small. Deprive was on Exposed as well as a social media manager. I brought Shui on to the Fortnite team because I was, sort of captaining the roster there. And I think it was maybe 2 months into being an Exposed with the three of us that we, were completely done with it. It was, a lot of lying from the ownership of funding, anything from funding a team to a LAN event to the type of car he drove in real life. Like, we literally reverse Google image searched his car picture that he sent us, and it was the number one thing that popped up on Google.
Nice.
So yeah, we jumped ship. It was September of last year. We formed Clockwork Gaming.
Okay. Clockwork Gaming.
Yep, the branding was decent at best. It was kind of a rushed move. We didn't really think too hard into the name, which is, obviously one of the biggest things when you're creating a team. It's probably one of the most important things, as well as your colors, as well as your logo, as well as your, just branding.
Right.
And then we made the rebrand to Team Villainous due to an investor appeal, I would say, where they were, interested in investing if we did a rebrand. So that's where we are now.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, if I totally just spaced and missed it, I don't know if you mentioned it, but what was the kind of timeline on all this? Like you mentioned Fortnite, and I guess that kind of triggered it to me that relatively recently. So how long have you been in this space, or like what year was it when you got into Exposed?
When I got into Exposed, it was early 20. Maybe 27. It was either late 2017 or early 2018.
Okay.
Because I don't remember. There was a moment where I was streaming Call of Duty.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, it's a thing. I was streaming, different games. I wasn't, dedicated to Fortnite.
Right. No, that makes sense.
So there could have been a chance where I was on Exposed. I really don't even remember because it was so fast moving, and So much stuff happened in a short amount of time, when I first got on the scene. So
Yeah.
there's a chance I could have been before the Fortnite even dropped, or it was, maybe weeks after Fortnite dropped, so not even that long of a time.
So now, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I am 21 years of age.
Okay. All right. So you're right around. That puts you at like 18, 17, 18 when you got into the scene. That kind of makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, right about
Cool.
there.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool. Definitely not going in the wrong direction with what you're doing. So good on you for that.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess to put all the negative start behind you, Team Villainous. Where did the name come from? The branding idea, things like that. Where did all that kind of get put together?
So that's a funny story. When we were approached, me, Shui, and Deprive, when we were approached with this investment opportunity, we were, kind of blown away that this had come so quickly.
Hmm.
And they really wanted the rebrand, the investor side. So obviously we were going to go with it because, startup money is essential when you're starting, a team and you want to, branch yourselves out and market correctly. So we dedicated, I would say we went at it for maybe 2 weeks, just literally in our owners chat is just throwing names back and forth. We're night and day. That's literally the topic of our conversation. We're trying to figure out the name. So what I did is I created just a list and I just started kind of Googling stuff.
Hmm.
I'm just Googling names. I'm looking at movies that I've watched, trying to make something click in my head that
Yeah.
would convert on paper. And then I thought of a funny story. So I thought of something. It was something to do with villain. I remember this vividly. It was something to do with being a villain. I was like, this would be a great brand. Everybody's hero. It would kind of go to the other side of things, but obviously we wouldn't be, idiots about it. It would just
Right.
be, we would be villains instead of everybody's normally heroes. Um, Shui, came up with the terminology. I would say villainous.
Okay.
So that's where we started. The purple and gold, it was really we were just mixing color combos that would work.
Hmm.
That was the thing that popped to us. We really didn't want to look similar to anybody else that was out there at the time.
Right.
Obviously, you got your red and black. You're looking at Phase, or you're looking at 100 Thieves green.
Or
Anything
everybody.
green, you're looking
Yeah.
at Optic.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely wanted to stand out and not look the same. And then the logo was something that we priced out with a couple different designers, looked at a bunch of different sketches. We had an idea. The first thing that popped in my head when I thought of a villain, I thought of like a cloaked figure, like standing in a dark alley or something like that.
Right.
So that's where our logo idea branched from, I would say. And then, we let the designer kind of, use his creativeness and take it into a different area. And then obviously we rebranded, we changed our logo to the three letters VIL, which we think is just a little bit more of a basic logo, and the mascot's more of something that you use for team atmosphere, like esports wise.
Sure. Yeah.
The VIL is more of something that can be marketed as a lifestyle, as nobody looking at that and saying that's esports.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Personally, I'm a little bit more keen on like simplistic logos. The
Mm-hmm.
less colors and less involvement, but still portraying your brand image I think is super important. Whether it's for merchandise, probably is my main focus, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it, the first thing I think about. But things like being able to make graphics and a simpler logo is easier to work with, whereas something cool, having a mascot as a secondary option, I think is also super cool, because then it like
Mm-hmm.
that's like your illustrated version of what your brand identity speaks as. So I think the dual route is a really interesting way to do it. I would like to see more teams do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of I like the process and the thought process behind what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and a lot of that, to branch off of what you just said, was when we went. The way we thought about it was because we look at a company like 100 Thieves.
Hmm.
Obviously, their branding, their apparel, what they do is just they set a different standard for esports. Is in my opinion.
Right.
Um, what I like about them is that if you're in the esports community, you know that they are an esports team. But if you are a random person walking on the street and you see somebody walking, is going to about to cross your path, and you see 100 Thieves on their sweatshirt, there's a good chance they might not know what that is, and that piques their interest to figure out what 100 Thieves is,
Exactly.
especially when it comes to clothing.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the esports community as a whole is gonna be able to start bridging the gap between people who have no idea about the community of esports, and the people that have been in this community for a very long time. I think it's going to start to mesh better. That's what's going to help esports continue to grow, because lifestyle and streetwear is just growing at a rapid rate, and it's just going to keep getting more involved. To companies like 100 Thieves will be, just as well known as, the Supreme brand, in my opinion, is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, things like the growth of an individual company or organization in the esports space, I agree, will kind of grow as mainstream, as esports and stuff becomes mainstream. But I do, the branding and apparel side of things are huge to it, whether it's, just the sheer branding or spending money on advertising or selling good merchandise, whatever it ends up being. I think as time goes on, it's only going to grow, and that's just kind of what happens in industries. As it's around longer, there's more potential for eyes on. But I do think the apparel side of things and making things that are just comfortable to not, like not nobody, but a lot of people won't want to wear their jersey that they wear on main stage on a Sunday. They don't really want to wear that to the mall or whatever. It's just like,
Exactly.
it's casual wear, even if it's not streetwear, just regular casual wear is always, definitely going to help grow the overall understanding and the, what's the word I'm looking for? Exposure to the scene, I guess.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So I guess that's a good way to transition. So as far as villainous goes, or is it villainous or team villainous, or is it kind of interchangeable, or VIL? How do you pronounce VIL? Is it VIL?
We just say, if you're like saying like our abbreviations,
Yeah.
we call it VIL. So
Okay.
VIL. We just
Cool.
kind of abbreviate the word villainous.
Cool. That makes sense. All right. So what is you personally, and I guess then get into Dubs and Deprive. What does your day-to-day look like as a owner, or as owners of esports organization?
So I would say our day-to-day, see, I don't know how to compare it to, other teams, because I'm not sure what they go through, because all of us have, realistically, this is the first team we've ever been on or ever owned.
Sure. Yeah.
Like exposed, we can't base any knowledge off that. But our day-to-day is from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, we're communicating, whether it's about, daily tasks that we need to complete, which is, looking for new recruits, checking our members' clips, popping into our members' streams, to, preparing content to go out for like the weekend or anything like that, to, big picture stuff where we're planning, new partnerships. We're, looking at new apparel with Sector 6. We're always looking. We make sure we keep a good, 50 to 50%. 50% are focused on the daily activities, and then our other 50% of our time is definitely focused on big picture stuff.
Sure.
Obviously, to maintain, your day-to-day interaction with your community is going to result on your day-to-day activities, and your big picture is going to help that grow. So that's how we look at it.
Yeah, that all makes sense. So do you guys kind of just basically come together and put together like this is for, I guess, for long-term things. This is your 3, 6, 9, 12-month goals. And then do you sit down and divide and conquer that from there? Or do one of you take over the marketing and one of you take over the stream side, and like, is it split up that way, or do you just kind of, split the load evenly?
So I would say it's 50%. We split the load evenly, and it's 50% we kind of delegate based on what we do best.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say my main objective is definitely recruiting when it comes to streamers.
Sure.
And interviewing for partnerships, talking to different companies, stuff like that. Shui is huge on Fortnite and tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know this, but we host tournaments as Team Villainous.
Yeah.
And we have so much back end work that goes into those tournaments that Shui really manhandles. We all pitch in when we can and do what we can, but he takes the lead on that one. And then Deprive is definitely our marketer. He's one of our top guys when it comes to I would say relatability, like on Twitter. He's a young guy. He has great marketability. So he's a streamer too. I'm not sure if you know that. I'm not sure if he's been streaming lately, but that's where he started as well. But he's just good with. He's our marketer for Twitter. He's our marketer for Instagram, Facebook. He runs all of our shows on that end.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. It's kind of what we've always done here between Josh and I, as far as the business side of things. There's definitely things that Josh is better than me at, and there's definitely things that I focus on more than Josh does. But there's a lot of things that we just kind of tag team too. So I think I agree with your thought process there and what you guys are doing. That all makes sense.
And I think
Okay.
one of the main things for us at least is so obviously every team's gonna butt heads. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
of course.
Owners, managers, they're all gonna butt heads.
Yeah.
We butt heads, just I would say the normal average that everybody does, but we never let it sulk. We never just message, one of the owners and leave the one that they're being upset with out of the message, like just complaining. It's always met head on. Everybody knows what's going on, and that's kind of how we reflect it into our team. So our team atmosphere is really solid. Our members know almost everything that goes on with us. Obviously, if there's a project that's not completed, it stays under wraps.
Yeah.
But it's a very open door policy when it comes to our members, and that's just how we keep kind of our energy and our motivation up. Is because we're not just leaving our members in the dark, not talking to them. We have plans, and obviously, a member's got to believe in your team in order to join. So that's where we want to show them what we can do.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned joining. I was thinking about this before when you were talking about recruiting. So what is it? What is it that how do you incentivize someone to come join your organization? I know this is probably a hot button topic, or was at some point across esports organizations. Like, people don't want to stream and join an organization if they're not getting paid and like all this crazy stuff. But what do you guys do to incentivize the streamers that you bring on, or streamer, content creator, whatever it ends up being? How do you incentivize them to want to join your brand, aside from the brand appeal?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you can't go into. So we'll back it up a bit. So when we started, you know, our knowledge and our standard for our members wasn't where it is today.
Uh-huh.
Because we didn't have the influence that we have now. Obviously, what we offer them mainly is we offer them walking into a new family is kind of like how we like to reference it.
Yeah.
We definitely voice our open door policy, how it's basically like you're joining a team of family members who help, collaborate, network, get creative with you. We have very supportive members in our chat. We don't like inactivity. We talk to them about plans for their future, about collaborating on giveaways for communities, stuff like that. Obviously, so it's definitely a case by case scenario where it changes every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, as of right now, I mean, we like to go in and just explain who we are. You like it or you don't. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're going to find those content creators and those streamers, those competitive players who are looking for just money. And if that was the case, and even if they're like, oh, whatever, I'll join, they probably wouldn't fit in and they probably wouldn't last long.
Yeah.
If they don't mesh well with the team and they don't have the same goals and see the same end of the road as most of us do, it probably won't work.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so before, I don't know if you actually, considering 2017 we already rebranded to Sector 6. Sector 6 used to be branded as Esports Apparel. And before that was, like, we started that, it was, I kind of tried to make a design team, kind of tried to make just an esports organization, because it was like the cool thing to do at the time and everybody was doing it, and it was like the ease of entry, or the barrier of entry was really, really low, and anybody could just kind of do it. And I had access to Twitter and I could design kind of, and I did. There's a lot more that goes into it than people think. It seems on paper it's super, super easy. Like, theoretically it's easy. It's getting set up and maintaining and being available and understanding how to grow XYZ. But in reality, it's a grind. It's always a grind.
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
I commend you guys for being able to, juggle that. And I'm sure you guys all, or either have day jobs or are going to school or have some other commitments that you guys have. So, it's.
Yeah. So,
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
I was just gonna branch off, tell you kind of, what each of us do in our daily lives and where we're at right now, just to give you a better idea and everybody that's listening a better idea.
Yeah.
So I work full time. I'm like a 9 to 5 daily, average job. And then I come home. I, give my time to the team. I'm in streams. I play my games when I want to play my games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But during the day, I try to focus. My lunch hours definitely focus on the team.
Yep.
Shui is actually currently in the middle of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually interviewing because I live like 20 minutes away from him in real life.
Right.
And I didn't know him besides Twitter, so I had no idea who he was. He's actually interviewing at the place that I'm working at right now.
Oh, cool.
But right now his whole day is dedicated to Villainous,
mm-hmm.
and then Deprive's the only one. Deprive, the little baby, still in high school. He's gonna graduate pretty soon. He's looking to actually move out to Chicago. He keeps mentioning it. I don't know how serious he's being, but consolidating our operations in Chicago and branching out here. So yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Now he's from Canada, right? That's a big move.
That's a big move, but I mean, the family that young man has behind him is remarkable. We have like his mother is literally called Vilmom.
Yeah.
Because she is so supportive of everything he does.
Oh, that's great.
She's come with him to events out here in Detroit, all over the United States to just help him basically oversee Villainous. When we send a team, he's there. So It's really a supportive crowd that we have around us.
That's cool. That's great to hear. I mean, support is you could get places without support, but support is probably the best. I don't know what's the word. Fuel to a fire, I guess. A good support system is going to keep you from getting too low, and it's going to push you higher than you would have been. So I probably don't say this enough, but like my fiance is probably my biggest supporter and probably the biggest reason that I could do what I could do. So it's I'm sure that it's very much the same on every aspect, and whoever has that, if you have that one person or that group of people that's supporting you, you're going to make it places for sure.
Exactly, because when you get that support, like it's the same thing with me. I just proposed last weekend to my girlfriend.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, wait, I did see that. Yeah, congratulations again.
Thank you, and congratulations to you too.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Thanks.
I had no idea you were engaged.
Yeah, it's been a little bit though.
Yeah, when you get support from somebody, in my opinion, when I told my girlfriend, she was my girlfriend at the time, that I was in esports, it was something I didn't tell her right away.
Oh yeah.
I didn't tell her I was a Fortnite competitive player until the first time she like came over and like saw my setup. I'm like, yeah, just so you know. But she, like the amount of I did not expect her to be fully on board. Like she thought it was very cool. And then when you get that kind of support and that genuine reaction that it's they believe in you, it makes you want to succeed so much more to make them happy. You know what I mean? To show them and to just make them proud. In my opinion, it helps. If you have somebody that like a parent or to anybody that's listening that is a competitive player, you're young, and your parents don't believe in you, give it time, because it can change.
Yeah.
Don't give up. That's one of the main things. I hate that.
Yeah, it's so to piggyback off that. The biggest thing with parents, especially because like. For lack of a better term, you're forced to be with your parents. Like obviously there's ways out if you don't, you could pursue, there's avenues to pursue to not live with your parents if it's that bad. But if they don't support your esports addiction or your gaming mindset or whatever you're doing at the time, like Jake said, don't give up on it. But at the same time, you need to, there needs to be some type of proof and growth, and like you need to be able to give them a tangible like understanding of why you're doing what you're doing. You're not just playing video games to rot your brain. You're playing Fortnite 8 hours a day, or call it 20 hours a week to be better, to compete at this tournament, to win this money, or whatever your thought process is. Or you're grinding, staying up all these hours at night to put together these YouTube videos because your YouTube channel is growing and you have X amount of subscribers that go up each month or whatever it is. Like if you can give them actual numbers, there's no reason for them not to support you. If you came home from an event, or not an event, but if you came out of your room, went into your parents' room or the kitchen or whatever, and you were like, I just broke 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and they didn't understand how big your YouTube channel was, they're going to be like, oh my God, there's 1,000 people who watch my kid. Like, it's just got to be, giving tangible proof or evidence that there's actually something for you to do is always going to help them understand better, and then ultimately support you, which is the end goal.
Absolutely. Like look at Booga, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I think he's what is he, 13 or 14? He just won
something like that. Yeah.
over $1 million.
Three.
Over $3 million.
Yeah.
How do you walk into the kitchen and say, "Hey, mom, just so you know, I'm not going to school anymore."
Imagine.
16. That's the goal. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of not how it happened with me. Like obviously, so my previous owner, when I was playing Fortnite for Exposed, lied about funding. But
right.
When I told my parents, I was like, yeah, I'm looking to go to this LAN event, and they're like, well, that's a big investment. And I was like, well, the offer is to pay for my flight, for my hotel, for my team pass. I'm literally just going with spending money to pay for my food. Obviously it was a lie at the time, but I believed it because he was promising it. But that's the kind of thing where, if you can find a team manager or, a stream manager who believes in you and can help you grow and can help bring proof to your family, it's definitely doable. Not everybody's going to be one-sided for the rest of their life. If you can prove to them that it's a valuable move, then they'll definitely get behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally.
They should, at least. I'm not going to say definitely.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah. So support. Do it. Support people. Support yourselves. Support your friends, or whatever it ends up being. I would, definitely do that. So, as far as where you see you guys going, do you have like a 6 month, 1 year, 2 5-year goal, whatever it ends up being? What is your like end goal with you guys?
So, well, we haven't really gone long term past, I would say, 2 years in oversight.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go past 2 years, especially in esports. I would 100%. Agree. Yeah.
We do set our monthly goals for ourselves when it comes to completing tasks, growth, analytics, all that kind of stuff. We definitely set our goals. If you're asking more in depth on where we see ourselves going and what we would like to do, so obviously Modern Warfare is going to be dropping here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely want to branch out into the competitive Call of Duty scene. Again, we've been in it a couple times, and it has gone completely wrong both times.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to do that. We do think a great avenue for us and our current members is content creation. We have a great team of personality, skill. We have a good combination, I should say. And we could definitely continue to branch out into content creation. Mainly YouTube as our focal point right now. That's what we're really pushing, and we did take a bit of time to start YouTube. We were focused on Twitter, growing our Twitter account, all that kind of stuff. But now we're definitely branching out onto all different social medias, and obviously we're going to look at ourselves probably as a content creation organization first, and dabble in competitive.
Cool. Well, yeah, that sounds good. And I'm going to kind of go out and spitball a little bit here. If you were to pick an organization that's currently an established, quote unquote, AAA, Tier 1, whatever, that you guys emulate or you're trying to replicate, I'm assuming that's just 100 Thieves based on the amount of times I've heard you bring them up.
So it's yes. 100 Thieves, Nate Shot. I've been dedicated to that guy since I was a very young kid. He's been my go-to. When I had a bad day at school, when I had anything going wrong, I'd just go on YouTube and watch his videos.
Yeah.
I think 100 Thieves does the perfect mixture of competitive. Obviously, they had a great year in Call of Duty.
Yep.
But their content creation is just, right now, it's just a little bit better. It's actually a good amount better than I would say the other teams. And I wouldn't say that they're, doing it worse. I would say, like, in my opinion, when it comes to FaZe Clan, when I think of FaZe Clan, I don't think of FaZe Clan's YouTube. Mm-hmm. When I'm, like, watching a YouTube video for FaZe, it's posted from FaZe Banks, or it's posted from FaZe Apex, or Blaziken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I look for content from 100 Thieves YouTube because they post it. It seems like FaZe, and it just seems like they're more focused on personal content and putting it on their personal channels than putting it on their team channel. which is
Right.
what I don't want to get to. I don't want to get to that point, and I want it to all be on a team channel. Obviously, you do your daily vlogs, but like team inclusive, videos when it's like guess what's in the box and it's on a FaZe personal channel. I don't like that. Um, but I think 100 Thieves does that very well, where they have a great team behind them. Obviously with their investors and their current team, that they're able to focus on both content creation and competitive. But yeah, I would say 100 Thieves, and then definitely Optic. I think Optic's just an overall amazing competitive team. I would say they're definitely competitive first. You've been around Optic. Would you agree with that?
Well, um, so it's funny. Optic. I think I don't remember if Hector said this verbatim back in the day, but it was a content team that competes. As kind of was his goal. Um, I do agree that they the Optic brand has put together over the years a really solid roster of competitive teams. Whether it's obviously in Call of Duty, they dominated in Halo and Gears of War as well. But past that, like there's been a lot of or CS:GO as well also.
Mm-hmm.
Nice English, Zack. Um, there's there's a lot. They didn't really half-ass anything as far as putting out quality teams and competitive, faces. But at the same time, the goal was to grow the like their personal brand, the player's personal brand, along with the growth of the overall brand itself. So you know, I think they do a really good job. Yeah, I to piggyback back on the 100 Thieves side of things, I also think that they do a really good job of production as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, I didn't really think about the way you said, like FaZe puts all of their content on personal channels. I never really noticed that. But I do really like that 100 Thieves puts their content on their own channel, because they're, at the end of the day, you're growing a brand, not personal brands.
But they're
Yeah,
obviously like FaZe. Their members, like Banks is huge. You know what I mean? Obviously, at some point it becomes, I would say Banks represents himself more now, beside other than FaZe. Like I would say he's. This is just my opinion again. This is
of
that
course.
he's mostly focused on his personal brand, unless like obviously the stuff with Tfue just came out, or not just came out, but it's just blew up Twitter.
Yeah,
But I get that, like that kind of stuff bothers him, but I see him as more of like these members of FaZe have gotten so big
yeah.
that their focus draws away, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's the unfortunate thing. Like there has to be, and personally, I don't like or dislike FaZe. They're obviously they were probably the second organization that I knew about in the space. Now I think the thing with them is they are a bunch of young guys that stumbled upon something good and did a really good job of growing it, and are now again young guys. I don't like the word immature here, but they're not super mature, I guess. Bunch of young
100%.
guys, and I think they're making, they're struggling between making good decisions for themselves or making good decisions for the organization. Is kind of I think where their mindset is, because they do a really good job of branding themselves and growing their own personal brands when they try it. But at the same time, it's like they're very young still. I think is the best way. Is I guess what I'm getting
Absolutely,
at.
yeah. I
Yeah.
would agree. And I think to go back to what we were talking about when you said you were talking about Optic and how they go in, if they're going to go in on something, they put
Exactly.
120% effort into it.
Yeah.
Um, we've kind of experienced the times in Team Villainous where like we'll have a really good idea and our hands will be so tied up in stuff that we're doing already, and one person will be like, well, let's go, let's do this, and then the other two of us will come back and say, do we really have the time? Do we really have the energy? Do we really have the manpower in general to get this done and do it the right way? Because we hate putting out I'll say half butted stuff when it comes to content. Like we've sent numerous videos back or just deleted them in general because the idea sounds really good on paper and then you put it in a video and it's just not there.
Yeah. So now I will kind of. I don't want to say what's the word, counter, go against you on this point, because I think what is it, perfection isn't always the best way to chase something, And
Hmm.
I don't really like quantity over quality or quality over quantity. You could argue that either way. But I do think the more content you put out, the better chance of being noticed, or the like a fan acquisition you're gonna have. So
Hmm.
while you may not like that video, and correct me if I'm wrong, like if it's something that's just a totally bad video, like I totally understand that too. I agree that if something's bad, don't do it. But if it's something that you don't totally love, but say Deprive loves, some random person who is not a fan of you guys, who stumbles upon that video on accident, watches it, loves it, and becomes a lifetime fan, and then now that kind of future trickle down never happens because you guys pull that video. It's just like, it's unfortunate, I would say. And you put the work into doing the video, and then it's kind of for nothing. Now again,
Yeah,
I'm not telling you
absolutely.
how to run an organization, because if it's something that's bad, definitely don't do it. But that's just my kind of thought process on content, at least as a whole.
Yeah, so I should have probably, dug a little bit deeper into it. So, kind of what happens is if, obviously everybody's opinionated. Me, Deprived, Shui, we're all opinionated.
Sure.
Um, if we, review a video before posting it, and one of us is completely against it, one of us is completely for it, and one of us is in the middle, we kind of do it like a majority vote. If it's good, if two people vote yes, one person votes no, it's going up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it's one's for it, one's not, one's in the middle, we'll take it to a couple of our higher members. We'll get opinions from our community on what the idea is, if they want us to drop that kind of content. So we definitely don't just trash anything. We'll never delete a video completely. It's
Yeah.
always in our files. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just something where that's what I think we do well too. Is we definitely communicate with our members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
We
that's
value
important.
their opinions. Like, I think more than they realize. What their opinion of us is. Affects us a lot.
Right.
So we obviously we get their input. But yeah, I completely agree that you definitely want to be pushing out content on a good schedule. It's just when it comes to like the complete tanks, yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely just keep that in the archives.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there for sure. Yeah. I guess it kind of covers content and stuff like that. Now I got a question for you. It's funny. So in chat somebody said, can't wait till Zack says something that annoys Tiggy, and I have been waiting to actually ask. I put something down on my notepad here to bring up to you, and I hope this isn't too annoying to you. But
Oh,
why the hell do you put a dash in esports?
because that's how you do it. That's the proper way. You can vote against me. You can vote with me. It's the way.
No.
I am very open-minded. I own when I'm wrong, and I'm 99.999% sure I'm right. It's an capital S sport.
I feel like it's a meme. I feel like you put it in my chat once, or in my chat, or I saw you tweet it or something. I saw it come from your account at some point, and I was like, this is the first time I've seen a dash from a non-boomer in esports, and I was just like super taken aback.
Because I think outside the box.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, what's going to
fair.
grab Zach's attention on Twitter? And I knew it. I
That's it.
thought about it. I was like, dude, I had that dash.
I mean,
Boom! Look where we are.
in all seriousness, I don't care. As long as I could read it and you spell it esports, like it's totally fine.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I really just never knew. I think I read it like the first time I read it. I read the word esports. That's how it was spelled, and I've never changed it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the thing is, you always see these arguments that, at least the ones that go semi-viral that end up on my feed, it's either capital E or lowercase everything. And I guess it honestly, I until the word's in the dictionary, I don't really think it matters.
Agreed. Yeah,
But I mean, I don't even, it could be in the dictionary for all I know. I have no idea.
it might be, honestly.
But
I'm very up to date on the dictionary.
yeah, I haven't caught up on the new
I haven't
issue.
cracked
That's
one
for
of
sure.
those open in a while.
Yeah, for real. I been out of school for a little bit too long, I think.
I thought you were gonna ask me about like Villains LLC or something.
So
I thought
that's
going.
funny too. That's funny too. That was something well, now that you brought it up, I feel like obligated to bring it up. It was something I thought about.
Dang it.
It was something I thought about bringing up, but like, what's the beef? Like, why?
It stems, man. So we created this brand and we love it. You know what I mean? We love what we are right now when it comes to our colors, when it comes to our logo, when it comes to our name. We love everything that we're about.
Yeah.
We don't like copiers. We see it all the time. Like 100 Thieves is a team. Boom. Today I saw like, what was it, 99 Knights? I'm like, come on.
That's a joke,
Like
right?
this is it. No, dude, look it up. Swear to God,
I don't
it's
want
there,
to. I
and
don't
it's got
want
a
to.
couple thousand followers. It's not bad. But I'm just like the originality is big for us. And when with our first interaction with Villains LLC, what happened was we got messaged on our team Twitter from some guy saying, "Hey, you guys got smoked in that LAN event," and we're like, "What? Like we're not at a LAN event."
Oh no.
So we do some research, and these guys are like, people were mistaking this team for us.
Yeah.
So we obviously we didn't get like all heated and start yelling at them or anything like that. We just tweeted like, "Hey, please note we are not a part or have any affiliation with this team, Villains LLC."
Sure.
No big deal, whatever. We didn't care. Time goes by. Villains LLC, like their owners, start following us. We thought they were just going to be super nice, whatever. They post a new logo. This logo, you've seen our mascot, you know what our mascot looks like.
Yeah, we
It
print your
is our
apparel.
mascot with a skull face and different colors. And I'm telling you, you can look it up right now, and you can please, let the Lord strike me down in dead here if I'm wrong. You're doing it. I hear you typing in the background right now. But it's so we message them and we're like, please, just can you change your logo or talk to your designer? Can you guys come up with a different idea? Like this is a blatant copy. And we were told that we were nuts and that we were not used in their creative design process. And this logo came out like 2 weeks after they figured out about who we were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, this was our logo. Like, please, it's a complete copy. So then we started getting down to like the legality of it, and trademarking the logo. And they're like, well, if you don't have anything trademarked, we're not going to change it, which is fair. I get it.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be legal about it, whatever. And then we just kind of both sides started getting a little bit heated, in DMs, mind you.
Sure.
So I'm talking to the owner, Shui's talking to a different owner, and we're just trying to figure it out. And what happened was, we've had, like, not to like put anybody on blast, I'm not going to name names, but we've had their members like in our DMs, like trying to move teams because they basically say that Villains LLC is like just literally doing what we're doing and changing it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had that happen. We've had one owner that Shui was talking to. I was talking to the team page. Shui was talking to a separate owner's personal. And the owner was like, yeah, I want to change it so bad. This is a total copy, whatever, da-da-da. And the main guy that I was talking to was just not having it, like thinking he was the smartest guy on the planet. And that's just where the beef started. And I decided, enough was enough. I've been very professional this entire career. I'm not going to get walked on by these guys. So I just kind of gave them a little bit of a roast. And once in a while, I'll throw a little jab their way. They throw a little jab my way. I would say it's not a vicious beef right now. It's a healthy beef. Nothing's like to the point where I'm nervous they're going to show up at my door.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, thank God. But I mean, it's really nothing crazy anymore. It was a big deal when it first initially happened, but we throw little jabs at each other once in a while, and honestly, it keeps our motivation up on our side. To know that somebody liked what we were doing so much to basically try and do it exactly like we were, which I love it because you can't copy original completely. So I think we're in a good spot. I agree, and Shui calls me and kind of yanks my leash back a little bit when I get a little too mean or a little too toxic. But it is what it is at this point.
Now, I do. So the reason why I find it so interesting that you guys have beef, I don't remember when it was that we started working together. But right before we started working together, I had also been talking to them as far as doing their merchandise. Obviously, not understanding the differences between you guys or anything of the history there at all. We had a good conversation going. I talked to them on and off for 2 or 3 months. They were not happy with their current provider. The typical conversation that we have. Then I wake up one day and I read a DM, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but basically, we were told, or I was told that that they didn't want to pursue a relationship with us anymore. Let me just kind of cliff notes this. Here. All right, I'll read this part verbatim. It is a shame that you allow your image to be brought down by those teams, referring to the other villainous team. And
only.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yes, the original. But there was a lot of crap to say, for lack of a better kind of term there. But I found it very interesting that was their thought process. So you mentioned that it was kind of bantery back and forth, and you try to be cordial with them. But I thought it was super interesting that they're like, we don't want to work with you because you're working with these guys. So I don't know. And then
but that's something like we would never ever tell you. Like if you brought them on and you guys did their apparel, I would never come to you and say it's them or us. You know what I mean? Like I would never do that. To me, that's very childish. And if you gotta, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to fuck myself up again because I'm gonna go on Twitter after this. We know what happens. No, but it's just something where it's like they try to play the really good guys.
Yeah.
And
how you play the good guy when your branding is you're a villain? Come on, man.
Exactly. Like you got to be a little bit, you got to be edgy. You know what I'm saying?
Edgy, yeah.
So and especially to the point when we added them in our tweet. And dude, our Twitter is, I'm not trying to boast, but it's bigger than theirs. You know what I mean? They were a smaller team.
Right.
It is what it is. We added them in the tweet. We gave them respect on that tweet, saying, "Hey, we're not them, but we literally said we respect their grind."
Sure.
And they retweeted it. They messaged us saying, "Thank you for this message." It was a great interaction. We felt really good about it.
Yeah.
I thought there was a mutual respect there, and I think that's where we were really taken back when we just said, "Hey, do you guys mind changing this logo?" And they were completely, negative towards it. I feel like it could have been handled in such a better way with them, even to the point where we could have gotten down to the specifics. If we said well, do you think your designer could change this little piece or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just it was negative right away off the rip. And I think what they wanted to do was get a little bit of attention out of us with it. And obviously they did. No, I'm not going to take that away from them. I think they wanted it a little bit, and we gave it to them, which is definitely a learning experience for us.
Sure.
For next time, I know we definitely wouldn't just take it right to taking it public.
Yeah.
It was a first experience of that kind for us, of kind of not like a rivalry, but just like an incident with another team. Yeah. And we never really handled that before, so we definitely know how to handle it next time.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, positives, negatives, learning experience. Mm-hmm. You'll have that for the next time, which is great. Hopefully, there's not another team that wants to be villainous, but I guess we'll cross that bridge.
I hope there's 20 more.
Yeah,
it'll make me feel good.
I mean, we can end it here. You guys are working with us, good relationship. They're working with Dash Threads, and we'll segue there. So
they're working with Dash Threads. Sorry, I don't keep up with them.
No,
they're working with Dash Threads.
I pulled it up for the sake of quickly showing their logo in the video.
What do you think?
Stream.
What do you genuinely no bias? What do you think?
Of what, their logo or what?
Do you think that logo is a copy?
I think it's definitely got very similar elements. I mean, you have the hands around the text, or even your text is a little bit lower, but you have the hands open, two wide arms. There's a whole a head shape with a hood on. Theirs has a skull. Yours is more, if I remember correctly, it's just a black, right?
Yep.
Both of the brands are a play on the word villain. So it's whether it's I mean, you could argue one way or the other which logo is a more fundamentally sound logo, but I do think that there's definitely some inspiration that came from that logo, from you guys. I think. I mean,
yeah, absolutely, and I get it. If something's good, you want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they saw it, and I'm sure they liked it. Which I don't blame them. Ours was a decent logo. It was our first logo. We changed it. We'll probably change another in the future. You know what I mean? But for the fact is that if they at least acknowledge the fact that, yeah, we liked it a lot, we wanted to do something similar, sorry if it's too similar. it would have gone a lot better than saying your design was not used in our creative process. Literally
Yeah.
the response I got the first time, and I'm like, you're lying.
I mean,
I was like, if you didn't use it in your creative design process,
someone did.
then your designer did
Yeah.
for sure, and then you approved the sketches, and you just saw our team page 2 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
you know of us.
I mean,
Like, you can't be that just spacey.
if they contracted a designer and the designer was kind of sketchy about the process and they genuinely didn't know until like after the fact, that kind of sucks because they spent the money
Mhm.
on a logo and they don't want to spend more money, and then at that point it's just like you got to kind of own it. So maybe they backed themselves in a corner. Obviously
They
we don't know
might
the
have.
whole
I mean,
situation.
if that was us, and obviously we had a little bit of a hint of where we wanted to go with it based on another team, and that other team called us out, I would definitely take it to the designer, and any reputable designer, in my opinion, would own up to that 100% and say, yeah, I based this off. Let me see where I can change it.
The keyword there
Um,
is reputable.
exactly. You never know. I mean, that's why, like, let's talk about that. You're talking about let's segue into Poria Customs. We'll change that subject.
Man, it's just gonna be a
but-
roast. This is a
This is gonna
roast
be a roast
podcast.
session. I'm atting them.
I'm gonna get some heat.
But yeah, so it's just reputable. We've had our experience with, scammers and people that just make quick money. So we definitely understand that part.
Yeah, I hear you there. All right, let's no more negativity here. Let's not talk about
Okay,
poorly on
okay.
people. Damn, I got a segue that I don't know. This has been a hot topic lately. I brought it up in the last couple of podcasts. I don't know. I mean, this could be a negativity thing for you or not. What are your thoughts on the franchising that's coming to Call of Duty?
If it was like $20 for a spot, we'd be more more close for sure. But I think franchising overall, in my opinion, I don't think it's a great idea. I think it's going to. I wouldn't say it's going to shrink the followage of Call of Duty, but I definitely think it's going to halt competitive play. I think they're going to lose some decent competitive players because people aren't going to want to play. I know they're doing this become a pro thing. I think it's like at every city they're having it where these teams can go compete, where it's like the majors. I just think it's going to really kill a lot of confidence out there for people that don't make teams. And I think obviously you see what happened with Optic and Hex. Like I was distraught when I realized that Hex was no longer going to be able to do Call of Duty until he said he was going to NRG. Like, you take away team names like Optic, FaZe, Evil Geniuses, like, I don't approve of that because they built the sport to what it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a bad move for the branding. I don't think it's going to go the way they think it's going to go. But again, that's my opinion. They're probably 20 times smarter than me when it comes to that kind of stuff, so I'm sure they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, and I guess to go into continue the conversation, I guess we'll call it. So Overwatch came in and they did franchising. The reason that went so well, I think, and it was a lot smoother, there really wasn't established Overwatch League organizations. Teams bought into Overwatch. FaZe had a team, Envy had a team. Those are established organizations. They had a team for a year or maybe 2 years or something, however long Overwatch League was before. Overwatch was around before the league. And it was very kind of seamless. There was no, kicking and screaming on letting teams go and not buying into the league or being under a new brand or whatever it is. And I think Overwatch the league was received very well because of the fact that it was relatively new as a game as a whole. Now that game had a 3-year history or something before the league came out, 2 years. Now Call of Duty has had like a 14-year history, and Optic has been in that for, if I remember correctly, all of that, give or take a year. So like brands like Optic, it's going to be weird to see the Optic that you're used to not being the organization with, in the league. And Envy and those brands and FaZe and things like that. Now, where I do think I still, once those growing pains get behind everybody, the true supporters of the league will stick around. And then past that, you'll gain supporters based on the same way Overwatch League gained supporters who people who never knew what Overwatch was, but were just interested in esports and found out that Dallas had an esports team coming to Dallas to represent Dallas, and in the long term, we'll have events in Dallas. It's very interesting to see, and it's obviously only time will tell. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen after the first year when everybody forgets about Optic, but forgets about the issue that it was, and gets over the speed bump of new brands coming into the space, because I think the regionality of the fan base will start to help it grow. And I could totally be wrong, could totally be talking out of my ass, but I guess we'll see what happens.
I could see that. Yeah, I could definitely see, where you have those kids that never really align with a team, when they're, Optic or their phase, basing it in somebody's hometown.
Yeah.
It's going to hit home a little more for some people.
Yeah.
I think that's where they'll find success there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so so Sector 6's tenure, being part of the Infinite portfolio of companies, we worked very closely with the Houston Outlaws, which are an Overwatch League team, and we went to however many events that we went to with them, where there was a local activation or a viewing party or watch them play or whatever it is. Like the fans, I've said this before, the fans of that brand, those are the fans of that brand are the only fans that I've known in the Overwatch League, but the fans of that brand are more diehard. They're crazier than any other, fans at a Call of Duty event that I've seen, or fans at
they're crazier than the Green Wall.
Well, so the Green Wall is kind of the Green Wall. Like it's upper echelon of fan base. So that's that's different. Definitely. Yeah. But like you watch. So Optic gets knocked out of a Call of Duty event, and they place whatever they place, and then you have like an E United. Who they play recently? I don't even remember who they played at the end. United 100 Thieves.
100 Thieves.
That's a bad one because I was champs. I was huge. A normal major, say E United and like a LG or a Splice. Like you go to those events, there's fans. They each have a good handful of loud, rowdy fans, and that's cool. It's someone wins a map, everybody gets happy. Someone wins a point, everybody gets happy. But the Houston Outlaws fans were just absolutely like leaps and bounds ahead of anybody for being a fandom for less than 6 months at the time for me. At the time I saw them and met them, it's just like it's crazy to just have that natural like home city pride, because like home city pride is going to get you further than like just being a fan of a team on Twitter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like there's just more to it and more substance, I feel. And that might not transition over to Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is arguably one of the most toxic fan bases in esports.
Can agree with that.
But it'll be interesting to see. I'm very I don't want to use the word excited, but like curious to see what's going to happen. When all this smoke settles and the league kicks off, and what the long term is after the first 12 and 18 months of it.
It's definitely going to be interesting. I really am excited also to see how that unfolds. I don't think it's going to go to either side's real idea of the plan. Anybody that's against it, I don't think it's going to be completely their side. I don't think it's going to be completely to the plan of the league side.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's going to definitely take some turns and some twists, and obviously it's going to mellow out year after year, season after season. It'll become more normal. Obviously it's just a change that stung a lot of people and made people happy too. So it's going to be different.
Yeah, different is definitely the word to use, and interesting to see what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, franchising as a whole it looks like it's coming. This will be the third game that goes to franchise. Half of League is doing it, obviously the Overwatch League. So I don't know. I mean, if it comes and stays, cool. If it doesn't, cool, I guess. If it does, though,
I think it's gonna stay. You think You think it might go?
Well, it won't go, but like, will it trickle into other leagues? Like, I would really be curious, like, why Counter-Strike? I mean, they may have started it, but like that, I thought that would come up before Call of Duty, in my opinion.
Absolutely agree.
There's a lot more money in Counter-Strike.
The other day.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think will it do good? I don't know. It's a lot different. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think it would do well in Counter-Strike though, just based on the way the system already works. I think the only struggle that they'll have is that right now there's a lot of different tournament organizers that hold events. So I do think who was it? I was listening to Hector's podcast with I want to say it was Mixwell, but I could be wrong.
What is it? The Eavesdrop.
Eavesdrop, yeah, yeah. I think it was with
Listen to that
Mixwell
all the time.
or someone. One of the Counter-Strike guys. They were talking about how if they go to this franchise thing, it'd be good for them because right now they play like every weekend they're at an event, and it's like if they don't go to the event, it pulls them back in the pro standing points or whatever. Like they don't qualify for the major or they don't qualify for the finals or whatever it is. Like you put yourself at a disadvantage for not going to an event, but like you go to the event and the top prize is 50 grand. Like, do you really want to go to that when you're paid what you're paid as a Counter-Strike player? So it'll be interesting to see, what happens in the long term.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. I've been going almost an hour or over an hour.
We're killing it.
Yeah,
Zach,
we're killing it here. Yeah. I guess I probably did all the interviewing and a lot of topic bringing up. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about specifically or like bring up or tell people?
Yeah, definitely don't want to just boast about, Team Villainous. Do want to bring up that we do have a couple new partnerships that should be coming out pretty soon. I think they're fantastic. They're really reputation-wise, one is going to be up there, and one's kind of a new brand that has really good backing, really good investments, a really good business plan. Those I want people to keep an eye out for because they're game changers for both. It's not going to be something where put our code in to get a discount.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be more intricate than that, and I think we're really working to something good here. I definitely wanted to talk about the Sector 6 and Villainous line.
Oh boy!
I think our plans are crazy. I think we got some good stuff in the works. There's my speech. But Zach, you can even convey, like I sent over that document of what I thought our stuff should look like, and you kind of used your creativeness and your team used their creativeness to make it look that much better. We've already started compiling more ideas and it's more intricate, I would say, and I think some of the stuff that we have planned and are going to bring to fruition here pretty soon is going to be pretty solid.
Yeah, we'll leave it as. I mean, there's
no
already.
More hints.
Sorry, what?
You said no more hints.
Oh, no more hints. No more hints. All right, no more hints. There's hot fire cooking. That's all we gotta say.
Hot fire cooking.
Hot fire.
Are there any questions in chat?
Oh yeah, I mean, I mentioned this in the beginning. If anybody had any questions, throw them up. If not,
how many people we got in there? I've just been looking at the Zencaster.
Right now we're at 7.
Nice. I can read through it after this and watch them all roast me the whole time and feel good.
Taser Shots wants to know when Vil Taser is happening. I would assume that you have to go through the proper channels for that one.
Yeah, and obviously, I know Taser.
Okay.
He's been a fan of us for a long, long time. He's been a grinder. That process is a little intricate. We actually had to close our applications because they were just flooding. One of our daily duties was just going through our team applications and filtering out, what wasn't there yet and, what was decent. And we were getting 100 applications a day.
Wow.
It was just too much to keep up with. Then we went into our YouTube push. So we opened up a YouTubers only application and shut this old one down, and we just kind of reopened the old one. So I'm sure the floodgates are coming.
Gotcha. All right, there you go, Taser.
Apply, Taser.
Apply
once a week.
When is Detrudy getting a promotion?
Detroudy's gotten like 40 already.
Oh, okay, all right. Well then, stop asking for promotion.
Detroudy's a young killer from England. He's on YouTube. Great streamer. He does a lot of work for us. He edits for us. He's a skilled kid. He's a young guy. He's got a bright future ahead of him, and he's full on board when it comes to Villainous. He's a huge supporter too. DeTrouty, you're the homie.
Cool. England on top. Apparently. All
England
right.
on top.
Let's back that up a little bit. I got pride for my country too, buddy. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll probably leave the questions there. So outside of that, do you, or where's the best place for someone to contact Villainous VIL? Insert your abbreviation of the, or how you portray the brand there. What's the best way to contact you guys for general questions, and then what's the best way for someone to contact you personally?
So this is where it gets a little tricky. Our team DMs, we like to keep them open. We attend to them as much as we possibly can. But guys, if you're listening and you're trying to apply, they are flooded. Trust me, we see your messages. We will respond. But if you send us 4 messages, it's not going to, persuade us anymore to pick you guys up. You can send a message to the Team Villainous Twitter, which is @villainous_team. But the best way to probably get in touch, if you want to make a personal connection with an owner, or if you really think you've got something different than the other people that are in our DMs, send a DM to me, Shui, or Deprive. We respond to mostly all of our DMs on our personals. It's less crowded than the Team Villainous DMs are. That's where you should probably contact us.
Cool. And what is your Twitter?
My personal Twitter is @VIL. Let me double check, actually.
Mans don't even know his own Twitter.
I know what it is. It's @VIL Tiggie, TIGGIE.
Okay.
Shui's is just @ShuiDubs, DUBZ, and Deprives is like @DepriveEE_.
All right, cool. Cool. I think I covered everything on my end. Covered everything on your shameless plugs. I always have to leave. I have to leave the door open for shameless plugs. So I would want to do it if I was on a podcast. So there you go.
I appreciate it. Obviously, we're still we're a decent sized team now, but we're still growing, and we still got to do it.
Always growing. I mean, I would always be doing it, no matter how big you are. Always plug it. I mean, you see Nate Courage plugs all his stuff on Nate Shot stream all the time. It's the greatest thing.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's never and that's never going to stop. It's just how it is. You gotta be hungry for more. You can't be satisfied. Not in this community, at least.
I agree.
Somebody will take your position.
I mean, yes. Yep.
The spotlight's only on you for a certain amount of time, young ones. Use it while you got it, and try and keep it as long as you can.
There you go. Clip it. All right. I'll wrap it up there. That'll be it for this episode number 14 of the After Hours podcast. Thank you for all who have listened thus far, live and also on demand. If you are listening and you haven't followed, subscribed, liked, commented on this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please do so. I really appreciate things like that. It helps me understand what we're doing okay and what I can improve on, and the whole 9 and where it gets listened to the most, and yada yada yada. But as always, I will listen, or you'll hear me in the next one. See you later.